the only negotiation you win is the one you're willing to walk away from. And the only way that you can really do that in a situation where you desire the outcome is to keep your options open. And depending on the situation, that might be having many ducks lined up in a row or not burning bridges. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. So I was speaking to my dad, who's creating, he's got this project development that he's been working on and building, and he's got the planning permission for it, and he's trying to sell it. And so we were talking about how he's going to go about selling it, and the way to do it, we've concluded, is to get lots of people on the table for the negotiations, just so that if someone turns up and says, you know, this like lowballs you, you're not forced into taking it because you have other avenues. We take the same approach when hiring people, in that we continue all parts of all the hiring process until the hire has been made. Because the number of times that the hire falls through, you've then got more people in the pipeline. You don't have to start again from scratch. I'd say do the same thing when applying for jobs. Keep applying for jobs, like figure out the whole flow of what it's going to take for you to get a job, and keep going and continue applying and searching until you have one. Don't quit searching for new ones just because you've got an interview. Because if that one falls short or doesn't turn out to what you want to be, you might take something that actually you were unwilling to take if that was the only thing offered to you. So don't leave yourself in that position. And then my last thing I want to talk about today is Millie's brother just quit his job. And he showed us his letter of resignation, and it was nice and simple to say, "Dear so-and-so, this is my formal letter of resignation. On this day I will quit, or I will be leaving. That'll be my last day of work. I'm leaving for these reasons. Kind regards." And I was like, just remove the reasons, because what do you get out of it? And it's always really important to think through situations like this of, if a customer treats you badly, or if you are working for a company, or I don't know, any experience with another person, when you decide to have an exchange, what are you going to get out of that exchange? And then think, in a few years, would it be useful ever in any situation possible to potentially have to speak to that person ever again? That's why I would say, in a situation where you're leaving a job, if it's not completely random and out of the blue, which it probably isn't, because you've probably spoken about it, or there's been systematic changes, or you've had a performance improvement plan put in place, or whatever, everyone knows why you're leaving, right? There's no point beating around the bush, but you don't need to go like slandering anybody. You don't need to go burning bridges. So if you walk out of a job with like, "Hey, screw you guys, I'm going to threaten you," da, 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 what potentially was a really great relationship up until that point, you've just set the bridge on fire as you walk over it. And so if ever you look back and you go, "I actually want to get back on the other side now," you can't, right? And actually, one of the SDRs that we have, that we worked with, did exactly that. It was really great throughout the work. We ended up cutting off the role because we have noticed people who weren't previously trained at doing the role, haven't paid to do a course previously, were just taking too long to learn, and we didn't have the resources to teach them. And so as we were letting go of that team, this member of staff had taken some time off work. And so when it was time to come back, we were like, "Hey, the role doesn't exist anymore. We're switching to commission only. This is the sort of person that we're working with. Would you be interested?" And he said no. So we were like, "Cool, we'll part ways. That's fine." And then on the way out, just one message through a threat, which was unwelcome, unnecessary, and it just burnt the bridge. Obviously, being professional, we didn't react to it. We just said, "If there's anything you ever need, we're more than happy to help you." We stuck to the book on everything. We did everything we were meant to do. But it was just not a nice way to exit, right? And then all of the communications about it all of the pleasantries of, have a lovely day, that disappeared. It was just straight to the point, matter of fact, quite pointy. And now, the role he went to do, it was not what was advertised. He's realised what life is like outside of working for what we try to make a place where people want to be. I'll put it like that. We give people so much freedom, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people take advantage of that. But for those who don't, who they turn up and they put their work as the priority, they get the freedom to do whatever they want. And he missed that and said, can I come back? And just think, actually, it's not the right fit. You burnt the bridge on the way out, and that doesn't fill me with confidence about the type of person. Even though, and this is really interesting, if they'd said all of that behind our backs, but never to our face, we would have never have known. It was all pleasant. Everything was super pleasant. Just that one thing, and now I'm like, oh, I don't want to risk it, because that one threat to bring the company down, not only would potentially ruin our lives, but also the lives of their colleagues who they hopefully get along with, who are still there. If the company goes down, they've all lost their jobs, and for what? For absolutely nothing. You didn't gain anything. There was nothing to be gained. It was just to hurt someone else. And so, if you've ever had that feeling, which I definitely have, I'm not saying, I definitely wanted to be like, screw you, I'm going to screw you just because you tried to screw me. Just don't do it. If there's something to gain, that's a very different thing. But if there is actually nothing to gain from it, there's no point burning the bridge too. All right? Because you never know, that person might end up being something to you later in life. The world is very small. It could be something as crazy as like your future husband or wife's cousin, right? And now family reunions are really awkward because you sweared your head off at them on the way out. And now that they're telling stories about you behind your back to the family. Stuff like that. Like, you don't want that. And so it's unlikely, but enough unlikely things over a long period of time will definitely happen. And I've got some crazy stories of things like that. And everyone does, of coincidences that you'd never imagine happening, but they have. And so that was why I was trying to give Millie's brother the advice, like, just don't burn the bridge. There's nothing to gain and only potentially something to lose in the future, and it's an unknown something. Just smile, thank them for their time, part ways. And I don't think he did that, actually. And then ended up getting, an invoice for the training and all this sort of stuff. So, like, I promise you, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. All right, guys. A note for you and for me. Take the high ground. Always be pleasant. Kill it with kindness. Do exactly the same thing with the customers. Actually, I went through this with one of my SDRs today, is to say, do everything that you can to help them out. If they then say it's not the right fit, be like, great. Wishing you all the best. Here's all of the things I'm going to help do for you anyway, because I want you to win without us. And you do that enough times, people will start coming back. And I've already seen and experienced it. So I would strongly recommend doing that. All right, guys. Have a fun one. Peace.